Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I've got a travel journal with me, so it's just a little journaling process in this traveller's notebook style notebook, not an official traveller's notebook, but just a cheap version. And I really love working in this book. It's a really nice layout and format, and it's quite different to my junk journaling, although I do use a lot of ephemera and pieces that I've picked up on my trips. So this is obviously documenting our trip to Japan, which was in 2020, so almost 3 years ago now, which is absolutely wild, but I'm determined to continue in this journal and I really enjoy creating in it. So the fact that I'm quite late in doing all these pages and documenting the holiday doesn't really bother me, but it is something that I'm aware of, especially now we've done other trips, and so I am determined to do more this year and try and get it finished. Obviously, we went to New York before Christmas, and so I've got that trip now to document as well, and we are hoping to go to Japan again, so I definitely want to get this done before that. So this is definitely going to be a focus for this year in terms of my creative hobbies, but I also want to make it clear that it's okay if you take a long time to do your journals. Sometimes I feel like I'm not prioritizing it, which is definitely true, but I have so many hobbies that sometimes it's really hard to do everything that I want. But whenever I do create in this channel, I enjoy it a lot, and journaling in general, but I do want to make it clear that it's okay if you're behind, because I don't really think that's a thing. I know we often talk about being behind in our journals, whether that's daily journaling or travel journaling, but if you enjoy it and take some time to create for you, then I think that's all that matters. So back to talking about this spread today. I'm just doing the one spread and documenting a few photos. So I'm not doing it in like specific daily order. I'm sometimes grouping things together on the pages and talking about food or talking about a specific place. So on this day we went to Meiji Jingu, and that was an amazing shrine which is in the middle of Tokyo. There's a lot of shrines obviously in Japan, but this one's quite a famous one, and it just feels really magical and special because it's in a huge woodland and forest, and you really wouldn't know that you're in the centre of Tokyo. So it felt really special to visit here, and you'll have noticed at the beginning I had a big box of ephemera, and this is filled with items and like receipts and paper ephemera that I picked up on our trip. And when I was going through there, I found this Meiji Jingu map, and it was obviously quite big and the design was quite dated, but I wanted to make sure I included that. So I've added that in at the bottom and done it as like a flip down. So I added on some cloud paper over the top, and then I'm just using a couple of photos that I took on top as well. And these are quite small. I think the little one is only 1.5 inches square. And I'm not putting in all of my photos on this trip. We took so many, and obviously it's going to be quite hard to include everything. So I kind of just have picked my favourites, but these are the ones that are a bit more like day-to-day activities rather than like the very special images that I take on like my DSLR and like the ones that I would generally put in my scrapbook. This is more like the little comments and things that I want to include that happened on our trip. And I'm just using a lot of different things that I collected, and I've kind of put them aside for this specific journal. So it kind of flows through the journal and has this sort of similar elements, and I do find it easier to put things aside rather than going through my whole journaling stash and getting a bit overwhelmed. So that's what's in that box, and I find that really helpful for this project. I've used these origami stickers in this journal before, and I think that just is a really nice little motif to continue through. I've got the dotty paper behind the photo on the top left, and that's some old paper packaging. And then these stickers I really love. These I actually bought in New York, so a lot of the things that I use were bought in Japan. Obviously it's amazing for stationery, but those are Japanese designs that I did actually buy in New York. But because the shrine was in this forest, I thought it worked really nicely. So now I'm on to the next page. I'm using that rainbow and rain washi tape which I did buy in Tokyo, and it was a really rainy day that day, so I wanted to use that, and I really like how it adds a border to the page. Then I'm using this tiny strip of wording. I have no idea what it says, but I got that from a magazine. There's so many different bits of paper and like free booklets that you can pick up at the supermarkets over there or just in their malls. So I definitely made the most of that. And I do find it really good for background and paper elements to add into my journals. So I've got a few more photos on this page. At the bottom were some photos we took whilst we were in Harajuku, which is really close to Meiji Jingu. So I wanted to make sure it was sort of in a similar place. And then the one at the top, you can see it was really raining. Luckily this was the only day that was sort of bad weather, but that is the Hachiko statue, which is a dog that was really loyal. Like, I really recommend looking up the story because it's very sweet, and if you touch its paw then it brings you good luck and it's a good omen, so we made sure to do that. And because it was raining there wasn't any like crowds or queues like there usually is, so it worked out really well for us. I'm going to put the name Hachiko to the right, so I did go and try and find some letter stickers. I wanted it to be quite bright because I felt like this page needed a bit more colour, so I just add that on there to the right, and I do add some journaling below as well just to add a bit of context there. The washi tape behind is just a really simple pink grid washi, and I really like the way that looks. It's just an extra bit of colour and I feel like it adds a bit of grounding to the photo behind. So I'm just adding in my journaling here. I have gone back through the previous pages, which I have recorded, and there is a playlist on my channel and I will link up above if you want to see the process for the other spreads in this journal. Generally I don't journal on camera, so I did go back through on this day to fill in all the journaling gaps. And I'm just using a Muji 0.38 black ink pen, which is one of my favourite pens for writing. Then for the Harajuku pieces, they are really busy photos. Obviously it's filled with people, and so I kept it really simple and I just used those letter stickers there, which are like a shiny gold. And I have used these previously in the journal, so again it ties it all in together visually. And I'm just putting Harajuku down there. In the gap on the top left of these photos, I add in some journaling again and just write about the area. So I'm not putting loads of information in this journal, but I really love the way that it's laid out and I really enjoy looking through the previous pages as well. It's more of just some like talking points, and it will refresh my memories when I think about this trip. And I really love using all the different elements that we picked up whilst we were out there. I do pick up a lot obviously with the intention of putting it in my journal, but I think generally as tourists we pick up a lot of things and maps. But I think it's just a really nice way to remember our holidays and if we want to show family in the future. So here's how the page turned out. Here's some close-ups. I really love the colours on this page. I think it came together really easily. Sometimes that doesn't happen with journaling, so I was really pleased with this spread. I did find another picture from Meiji Jingu in my little pile of photos, so I do go back in and add that down at the bottom, which worked out really nicely because that's the point of having a flap. It just gives me a bit of extra space which I can add in some journaling or other photos that I had. I've just added in this bit here as well because I remembered I have this little charm. So this was picked up in Daiso when we were in Japan. Daiso is like their Poundland out there, so it's super cheap and lots of cute Japanese things. And I just added this in here so you could see me add it to the journal. This isn't a legit traveller's notebook, but one that I got for Christmas and was on my wish list, so I was really pleased to get it because now the Japan journal has a home. I'm going to be putting and documenting my New York travel insert into my Airlines Traveller's Journal, which I did pick up in New York as well. But I like that my previous trips, so I want this one, this Japan 2020 holiday and our holiday to Santorini, and any other mini breaks can go in here. So I've got plenty of space and lots to journal in the future. So here are some more close-ups for you to see the final spread, and I really hope you enjoyed watching this one. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next Sunday with a new video. See you later.